Aloha. Thank you for joining us today for our presentation on watersheds. My name is Jamie, and this presentation is brought to you by the Oahu Invasive Species Committee. During this presentation, we are going to be asking you some interactive questions. These questions will not be graded and only I can see your answers, but they help to make sure that you're getting some take-home lessons, so be sure to answer them the best that you can. Clean water is one of life's basic necessities, and a healthy watershed plays a huge role in providing us with clean water. Today, we are going to be learning what a watershed is, the different stages of the water cycle, and then the role that different layers of the forest play within that water cycle. Here's your first interactive question. What is a watershed? Is it a shed in your yard where you store water, a store where you buy water at, or an area of land that captures and stores water? The answer is C. A watershed is an area of land, such as a mountain or a valley, which collects rainwater into a common outlet. In Hawaii, the common outlet is ultimately the ocean. Watersheds come in all different shapes and sizes. Their boundaries are determined by the shape of the land. Do you know what word is used to describe the physical area of a shape of land? Is it topography, filmography, or calligraphy? It's A, topography. These features typically include formations such as mountains and rivers, lakes, and valleys. Here you can see these two watersheds are divided by their mountain ridges. So everyone lives in a watershed. Your school, your home, the forest, farms, stores, parks, our roads, they're all in a watershed. In Hawaii, watersheds are very similar to ahupua'a. This image here shows all of the ahupua'a on Oahu. If you know where the mountain ridges are, then you can see how these boundary lines follow them. Do you know what ahupua'a you live in? Well, no matter where you live, the water cycle plays an important role in our environment. In fact, Earth's water is always moving. There are 4 basic stages of the water cycle. Before I tell you them, I want you to guess which one of these is not one of the water cycle stages. Is it evaporation, sedimentation, or precipitation? It's sedimentation. Sedimentation is actually a part of the rock cycle. So in the water cycle here, first we have evaporation. This is when the sun's heat causes water to change to vapor. That vapor rises and forms clouds, and that's called condensation. When the clouds have enough water in them and the temperature drops, the water falls down as rain, as precipitation. As that rain falls, it collects in our bodies of waters, like our oceans and streams, and it also infiltrates into the ground, soaking into our underground aquifers. A healthy forest plays an important role in a water cycle as well. Different forest layers help to collect water, and forests are made up of many different kinds of trees, shrubs, ferns, and mosses. They're all different sizes and shapes, and depending on how tall the plant gets, it lives in a different layer of the forest. Hawaii's forests have 4 basic layers. At the top, the emergent layer. Below that, you have the canopy. Underneath there, we have the subcanopy, or the understory. And then on the bottom, the ground cover. The highest layer, the emergent layer, is full of the tallest trees in the forest. These are the first trees to slow down the rain, protecting the layer below. They also draw moisture from clouds that pass them by. Koa trees, like the one pictured here, are the dominant trees in this section of our Hawaiian forests. All right. The next layer is the canopy. In the canopy, we have trees that catch most of the raindrops. Water flows down their branches to its trunk and to the ground. And this layer also helps to filter out some sunlight, and ohia tends to be the dominant tree in this layer of our Hawaiian forests. Next is the subcanopy layer. This layer absorbs tree drips from above, and it covers the layer below in order to slow evapotranspiration, which is when the plants give off water through their leaves and it evaporates into the air. In Hawaiian forests, you'll often find Hapu'u tree ferns living here. These are huge ferns that can get up to 20 feet tall. Lastly, on the very bottom, we have the ground cover layer. Mosses and ferns form this spongy layer, and it holds water and covers the soil so it doesn't wash into the streams and oceans. This is the darkest part of the forest where there is the least amount of evaporation. Okay, pop quiz. Now that we talked about all the layers of the forest, tell me which one of these answers is not a forest layer. Is it the canopy, the epipelagic, the ground cover, or the emergent? It's the epipelagic. This is actually the name of a layer of the ocean that gets the most sunlight. So it's important to remember that our forests are also our water collectors. When it rains, the water is captured by the plants in the soil like a sponge, and some of this water runs off and is captured and stored on the surface in large ponds called reservoirs. It also goes deep into the ground into open spaces called aquifers. Aquifers provide constant clean water even after the rain stops. Okay, review time. What's the open space underneath the ground that water builds up in? Is it the bottom layer, the aquifer, or the crust? All right, it's aquifers. And last question, what's the land division we use here in Hawaii instead of saying watershed? Is it moku, kamupua'a, ili, or ahupua'a? It's ahupua'a. Our watersheds provide us with the water we use every day. The forest helps to filter out pollution before it gets to anywhere else. On Oahu, the Board of Water Supply pumps water from reservoirs and aquifers, cleans it, and then sends it to your faucet. So don't forget, in order to have clean water, we need healthy forests and an overall healthy watershed. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed learning about watersheds with us today. There's a pop-up on your screen that you'll have in order to learn a little bit more, you can watch this video. It follows one man's journey to learn about a more sustainable life in our island home, and it's called Rain Follows the Forest by DLNR. Also, please visit our website at www.oahuisc.org to learn more. And if you have any questions or comments, you can always reach us by email at oisc@hawaii.edu. Mahalo and have a wonderful day.